SCP-105 is a female human of European descent who was known as Iris Thompson prior to her containment and reclassification. Records indicate that Iris was a teenager at the time of her acquisition by the SCP Foundation and appears physically unremarkable, standing 1.54 meters tall and 50 kilograms in weight, with blonde hair and blue eyes.
She appears
She has no outwardly visible
unremarkable.
anomalous traits at all and appears to be in good health. The second component of the SCP-105 anomaly is SCP-105-B. 105-B is a Polaroid one-step express camera, manufactured in 1982.
Have I read
Much like
this
Iris
one
herself,
before?
the camera appears at first glance to be completely normal, also with no obvious anomalous characteristics.
I
It's
feel
not
like I
until
might have read
Iris,
this one.
and only Iris, engages with the camera that both of their anomalous effects are finally revealed. When Iris holds a photo taken by the anomalous Polaroid camera, the photo ceases to be a still image, and instead becomes a moving, real-time image of the photo's subject. It doesn't matter whether this is a location or a person. It will appear as if it is an extremely high-definition video feed. Tests have shown
she
that
could
the
sell
camera
them
and its
for a lot
photos
of
have
money.
no anomalous qualities when taken or handled by anyone other than Iris.
I wonder, can she
making
go
her
through
an
the
essential
picture
part of the process.
and
That's
interact
far
with it?
from the full extent of the anomalous activity. Iris is also capable of reaching into the photographs and manipulating the scene.
Oh, yeah,
For
I
example,
guess she can.
she can reach through a photo, grab an object from the location, and actually pull it out of the picture.
That's
During
cool,
Foundation
though.
testing, people in the photographed locations reported seeing a disembodied arm appear through an invisible portal and start manipulating the location around them before disappearing. Iris is able to perform some manipulation of locations through photos taken by other cameras too.
But is it real
The effects
time
aren't
or
nearly
when
as
she took
strong
the
as
picture?
the ones on photos taken with SCP-105. And it is believed that this specific Polaroid camera was crucial in Iris developing and refining her anomalous skills. SCP-105's acquisition by the SCP Foundation began with the murder of Iris's then-boyfriend. Iris herself reported the murder in a state of distress. She claimed that she'd been on the phone with him at the time of his death, hence why she was so quick to rush to the scene. However, upon investigating the records on Iris's phone, the police found that this wasn't true. As a result, Iris became the prime suspect in her boyfriend's murder. When she took the stand in court to plead her innocence, Iris claimed that she was actually aware of her boyfriend's murder because she'd been watching him through a photograph she'd taken of him a few days before. She even offered to demonstrate her ability to the court. This wasn't enough to secure her innocence, but she was declared mentally ill and interned at a
But
local psychiatric facility as a result.
If she
By this
demonstrated,
point, the Foundation
how
had
is she
already
crazy?
taken an interest in her case and were making the arrangements to take custody. 105-B was extracted from Iris's home and replaced with an exact copy, as Iris herself was transferred from the psychiatric facility to Foundation Containment Site 17, as is typical of low-risk humanoids, and her parents were told that she was killed by another patient at the facility during a botched escape attempt.
Fucked up.
In an interview with a Foundation research
So they
doctor
can
that
hold
occurred
her
not long after
indefinitely?
Iris arrived at Site 17, she was asked how she was feeling about the new conditions. To her, it wasn't all that different from the asylum. The doctor then pressed Iris on how she first discovered her anomalous powers. Iris replied that she discovered them accidentally after she knocked a rock over the edge in a family photo of the Grand Canyon. After that, she became fascinated by photography and was eventually gifted SCP-105-B by her parents. It was at that point that her skills escalated, until they reached the level they're at today. The doctor ended the interview by making Iris an offer. She would be allowed a longer leash by the Foundation, with limited freedoms, if she was willing to use her powers to do them a few favors.
Of
This
course.
sparked the beginning of SCP-105's involvement with Mobile Task Force
Basically,
Omega
they're just the
7,
government.
under an initiative known as Pandora's Box. Pandora's Box was a risky experiment.
It'll help you
The
if you
goal to
help
recruit
us,
captured
but
anomalies to assist
won't
the
be
Foundation
fair.
cause. An infamous
It'll
prior
be like
example had been
80-20.
Team Able, a strike team led by SCP-076-2, an anomalous immortal warrior, also known
Able.
as Able. Of course, anyone familiar
Is
with those
that,
files is well aware
Kane?
that Team Able had ended in disaster. Once the Foundation had run out of missions to satisfy the warrior's bloodlust, he turned on his own team out of sheer boredom. Team Iris, however, would be different. Unlike Team Able, which was a combat-focused group based around Able's exceptional fighting abilities, Team Iris would have more of a focus on reconnaissance and intelligence gathering.
That
This
would
new
make
team
sense.
carried out 20 of these missions in collaboration with a Foundation subgroup known as the Bowie Commission. All records indicate that the first several missions were performed quickly and efficiently. Things didn't go without incident for long, though. After Iris had shown promise in her spying abilities, the Bowie Commission was eager to escalate the missions to include wet work, a code phrase for covert assassinations. In simple terms, they wanted Iris to help murder people the Foundation wanted dead. But Iris violently resisted all attempts to use her powers for assassinations, despite repeated encouragement from members of the Bowie Commission. After continued pressure from the Foundation and the Bowie Commission, Iris entered a state of severe emotional distress that she claimed had neutralized her anomalous powers. Iris was no longer able to operate her abilities, thus would be unable to participate in the assassination missions. One of Iris's doctors performed a full study on her to test the veracity of these claims, and then wrote a report confirming Iris's assertions. He recommended that her classification be amended to neutralized, that she be given amnestics, and sent home to live her life as a normal person.
Oh, I thought they would
kill her. But there were some in the Foundation with a feeling that something wasn't right. They conducted their own independent observations and found out that the doctor had lied to them. They also discovered that he had actually been encouraging Iris to pretend she didn't have any anomalous powers anymore, as part of a plot to obtain her freedom. It seemed that she and the doctor had formed a friendship during her containment, leading him to favor her emotional well-being over Foundation priorities.
I wonder because he's a fucking human being.
Iris was subsequently denied. The doctor's bias towards her was made even more clear when he actually aided her in an attempted containment breach, which has been classified as Incident X-45 Site-17. Unfortunately for Iris, the escape failed. She was recaptured, contained, and the doctor who had been assisting her was discharged from service for unprofessional conduct. After being captured, Iris once again demonstrated that she had anomalous abilities in exchange for regaining some of the limited privileges she had under the Pandora's Box initiative. The Pandora's Box project was to be short-lived, though.
Okay, he's dead.
After Iris's complications and the absolute disaster with Abel, the Foundation and the Bowie Commission brought the entire program to an end. All the teams under Mobile Task Force Omega-7, including Team Iris, were disbanded, and Iris herself was returned to Site-17. Since the shelving of the Pandora's Box initiative, there have been rumors of another similar project created by the Foundation, and some have even speculated that Iris is a member of this new task force, Mobile Task Force Alpha 9, also known as Last Hope. This task force appears to be a spiritual successor to Omega-7, with the stated purpose of training humanoid anomalies for use in covert Foundation missions. Given Iris is experienced in this area, it's very likely that she's taking part. However, due to the secrecy of the project, specific information is both scarce and highly classified. SCP-105 has the rare classification of safe, meaning she poses little to no risk of a containment breach. Separated from SCP-105-B or any printed photos, Iris has no ability to put her anomalous activities into practice. And as a result, she's essentially a normal teenage girl with average intelligence.
I wonder, can she print out like
one that must live in SCP Foundation containment for the foreseeable future. To ensure her continued containment,
and then basically
Iris
like
has been implanted with a tracking device
place to place,
secured at Site-17. Unlike most anomalies, she has been allowed Class 3 restricted socialization privileges with approved site personnel, though this meager reward hinges on her continued good behavior and cooperation with Foundation directives. The anomalous camera, SCP-105-B, is kept in Site-19's high-value item storage facility, and it is shielded by a variety of advanced defense systems to prevent it from being stolen. Because of the security risk that would come from it, and due to the lack of any current usefulness to the Foundation, Iris is no longer allowed to access SCP-105-B, nor any other kind of camera or
but we can't let her go,
without the approval of the current managing researcher. Oftentimes, the anomalies the SCP Foundation contains are dangerous objects or malicious entities. When the anomaly is a young woman who's unwilling to harm anyone, even when refusal means giving up her own freedom, it becomes a much more complicated question of who the real danger is here.
Yeah. It's like, hey, we'll keep giving you more and more freedom if, you know, you kill a few people for us, you know. Like, wow. And like she refuses, and they looking at her like she the bad guy. It's like, pieces of shit. Like the SCP Foundation sometimes I look at them and like, wow, you guys are horrible. I mean, I know they're supposed to protect humanity, but they seem to not care about humanity at the same time. It's like, well, well, I think it's more about the masses. Like, there's, oh, you know, a few people die here and there, that's fine, but as long as it's not, you know, catastrophic or something like that, you know, apocalyptic. That's what they're aimed for. They're like, it's like a superhero who's like, you know what, I don't stop, you know, petty crime like purse snatching, shoplifting. I don't rescue cats out of trees and shit like that. I'm about, you know, I stop like bombings of buildings or uh, maybe a serial killer or something like that. So stuff that's more, I guess, higher up on a totem pole that requires their attention. Then like, I don't do that petty shit. You know, you just and SCP is like that. Even though it's it's secure, contain, protect, but it's like we'll protect you as long as you kill some people for us. It's like we secured you, we contained you, but the protection thing is good. Well, I think the protection not probably go more for it doesn't go for the SCPs and probably more so go for civilian population, protecting them from these. But the girl only powers it seems to only work with this Polaroid camera. So why keep her? Just let her go. And then if you need her, you can bring her back because she's the only one that can use the camera. I'm assuming. So for whatever reason, they didn't say why she's the only one who can use the camera. They probably don't know. Well, you know, like these SCP stuff, they try to keep stuff mysterious. Uh, they don't want to give you all the details, but they just let her live her life, and then hey, we need you to do this or do that. You know, like I said, it made sense for the reconnaissance mission and stuff like that because she can manipulate picture. And I guess the picture when she takes it is not like because I was thinking maybe she can only manipulate that picture in the time she took it. You know, like if she took it yesterday and she went and pulled like a book off a cabinet, she would have pulled that book. She didn't do it in real time. She pulled that book off the cabinet yesterday. But then if you think about it, that might cause a what's it called? Like a what is it called? I'm gonna forget the word. It's like a like not a contradiction. I forget what it's called, but it's like if someone else walked up there in that time after she took that picture and took that particular book off the shelf, and then she reached and her that picture, she could basically time travel. If you think of it, like I said, if she can only manipulate, only interact with things at the time that she took that picture, like it was basically frozen, kind of in that time, and she took that book. It would cause like, damn it, what is the word? They said it in like a bunch of different time travel movies. I know they said it in Back to the Future, I'm sure, and probably Time Cop or something like that. I had to react to that someday. I haven't watched that in years, but I keep wanting to say contradiction. That's not it. Space time continuum was not. I can't. But you know what I mean. Like that would interrupt and that could cause I don't know what it could cause, like maybe the whole universe implode or something because that would be, but you know, it wouldn't be a complete flow of time because somebody came and took that book off the shelf after she decided to go pull her hand up. Now you could say she's going back in time taking that book off the shelf. So if someone took that book after, like I said, she waited and then someone came and took that book after, the book wouldn't be there. So it'd basically be like time travel. Like if I went back in time and stopped JFK from being killed, it's like, even though he was supposed to die, as far as like time, like we know he dies, but if I stopped him from dying, then it would, cause a completely different alternate timeline of where JFK doesn't die, where I saved him, And then you're like, well, then you would say, well, that timeline stops the one where he doesn't die, or the one where he dies, sorry. And it breaks off and causes a new timeline to where he doesn't die, And then we'll see, well, what happened? Maybe we go into, maybe because we were still in the Cold War, maybe World War III starts, or maybe nothing. Maybe everything kind of goes, like his term as president goes, and I can't remember if he was in his second term or he was in his first term. I can't remember when he died, but to just say he did his term, whatever term he was in, and then that was it, and it went on to the next person. Instead, who became president? Was it Lyndon B. Johnson that became president after he died? Wow, it's been so long. I haven't even read about any previous president since high school. I want to say I think it was Lyndon B. Johnson, because I know he signed the Civil Rights Act, if I'm not mistaken, and I think he was the vice president, so he became the president. But I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, you let me know. But yeah, would he become president, or would somebody else become president? Stuff like that. What would happen? Or would Lyndon B. Johnson just be taken out, somebody else be put in? It's so many questions. But then, like I said, that negates everything, because it seems like she can just take a picture of this room and interact with anything in this room at any point in time. So as long as she has the picture, she could just, it's like the picture is going real time as she took it, and now the time is going by. So I wonder if that's the case, or is it like only when she interacts with it? Because if that's the case, is it like some Dorian Gray type shit, where everything in the picture, time is passing like in real time, so she could look at a picture like and look at me, and then time goes by, and let's say 20 years, I'm still here, and I'm 20 years older than I am not in the picture, because you see, it's almost like looking at a video camera, or is it just when she interacts with us? But then if that's the case, if it's real time, let's say it took a picture of me right here, and then when she decided to interact with it, would it just jump forward in time to the moment right now? And then I could not be in a room or whatever, or completely different people live here or what have you. It's interesting. I talked way more than I planned to, but that made me think, I feel like I've seen this. I don't know. Anyway. Hope y'all enjoyed my reaction. If you did, make sure you hit that thumbs up button down below. If you're subscribing, if you're hit that bell, you know if I upload new videos. Comment down below, share this video. I'll see y'all next time. Peace.